Okay. Hi. So my name is Ashley Eagleson. I'm married with one child and four fur babies. I'm a maternity and pediatrics RPN at PRHC and a contract professor for the PSW program at Sir Sandford Fleming College. I'm extremely passionate about women's health. The road to motherhood wasn't a particularly easy one for me. In 2020, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS. We tried for roughly a year to get pregnant without interventions. I had many tests done, transvaginal ultrasounds, which are so fun, blood work, etc. I spoke with some OBs and an endocrinologist. The test showed that I had over 11 cysts on each of my ovaries and a uterine fibroid. This made so much sense for the way I was feeling and struggling to get pregnant. I went on medications and balanced my hormones, and then bam, we got pregnant in the summer of 2021. My pregnancy was rough. I had hyperemesis, otherwise known as HG. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's extreme persistent nausea and vomiting, which can lead to serious complications. I was nauseous 24/7. I threw up multiple times a day, barely able to keep any food or drinks down. And I broke all the blood vessels in my face and eyes multiple times during my pregnancy. I was on medication for the nausea and vomiting as I still had to go to work and work two jobs and keep up my household, which just usually took the edge off and never made it completely go away. I had a few extra ultrasounds done through a pregnancy to check babe's weight to make sure she was growing well since I was so sick all the time. Around 28 weeks pregnant, I was written off work for a separating pelvis, which was extremely painful and made it very difficult to do my 12-hour shifts at the hospital, on top of vomiting multiple times a day still. I was exhausted. As many of you know, once you hit that third trimester, you're seen in the OB's office every 2 weeks. From 30 weeks on, my blood pressure was slowly creeping up until around 34 weeks, where it was consistently high, and I was being sent to labor and delivery from my OB's office for further investigation at every single visit. At my 36-week checkup, my blood pressure was hovering over 150 over 115. I was in and out of the office within 5 minutes. My OB said, "Your blood pressure is way too high. You need to go to labor and delivery right away. You're going to be induced and have a baby today." My husband and I looked at each other and we started laughing, thinking it were a joke. There's no way she's coming a month early. The nursery isn't even close to ready, and we're not ready yet either. So we had an emergency ultrasound done at the office, and off to labor and delivery we went. The next 48 to 72 hours were a crazy whirlwind. On January 27th, 2022, we arrived in labor and delivery. The baby was being monitored to make sure that she was okay with my blood pressure being so high. I was given multiple medications to try to bring my blood pressure down. After the third one, it finally started to come down to a more therapeutic level. I was also on prednisone because I was in an asthma flare-up, because why not, right? After a few hours of monitoring myself and the baby, my OB told me to go home for an hour to grab my belongings, say, "See you soon" to my fur babies, and come back to the hospital, as I was getting admitted to the unit until I can get induced in the morning. So on January 28th, 2022, my induction began with a Pitocin drip and a catheter in my cervix to help me dilate. The OB at the time looked at me and said, "You have severe preeclampsia." And the nurses started another IV to put me on magnesium sulfate to keep my blood pressure down. My blood pressure was taken every 15 minutes for the next 48 hours. The magnesium sulfate made